When humans run out of patience, no species can handle the trouble. The stars above glimmered like scattered diamonds, casting pale light across the bridge of the horizon vanguard. Captain Alara Voss stood tall, her eyes scanning the endless black of space beyond the viewports. The ship hummed quietly, a gentle rhythm that had always reminded her of home. For centuries, humans had lived among the stars, spreading across galaxies, yet to many alien civilizations, humanity was still a puzzle. "They think we are fragile," Alara muttered under her breath. Her voice was soft, but it carried a weight of determination. Around her, the bridge crew moved with precise efficiency, their movements smooth and confident. Every crew member had been trained to handle crises, but more importantly, they were trained to adapt. Humans had always been survivors, and in the galaxy, survival meant understanding not just power, but patience. And when that patience finally ended, consequences were beyond imagining. Alara's thoughts were interrupted by the sound of the communication console. Lieutenant Mara Chen's fingers danced across the controls, bringing up a holographic projection of a nearby planet. It was a neutral zone, designated as a meeting point for representatives of 3 alien civilizations. The planet's surface was a swirling mix of greens and browns, dotted with cities built into cliffs and valleys. It was a place that demanded respect, a place where diplomacy mattered more than war. At least that's what most species believed. "Captain," Myra said, her voice calm, "our diplomats report that the alien delegations are arriving ahead of schedule. All protocols are being followed, but they seem tense." Alara nodded. "Tense is the right word. Remember, they've never truly understood humans. They think we are weak. They think we are slow to anger." She paused, letting the words hang in the air. "They don't know patience is only one side of the coin. When it ends, no species can handle the consequences." The bridge fell quiet for a moment. Outside, the stars continued to sparkle, indifferent to the politics and tensions unfolding below. Humans had spent generations building alliances, exploring uncharted systems, and learning to coexist with species far stronger and older than themselves. And yet humans remained underestimated. That had always been their advantage. In the main hall of the neutral planet, the alien delegations arrived in floating crafts, their forms strange and varied. Some were tall and thin, their skin shimmering with colors that shifted with their moods. Others had hard exoskeletons, moving with precise mechanical grace. And then there were the large, imposing species whose presence alone made humans feel small, at least in appearance. Human diplomats were already waiting. Ambassador Ryan Kaito, known for his calm demeanor and sharp mind, greeted the delegates with a polite bow. His words were measured, diplomatic, but his eyes betrayed a quiet strength that commanded respect. Humans had learned long ago that strength was not always about size or power. It was about intelligence, creativity, and the ability to endure more than anyone else could imagine. The aliens exchanged glances. To them, humans seemed ordinary, too ordinary to be dangerous. They had heard rumors of human ingenuity, of daring missions and unthinkable survival stories. But most dismissed these as exaggerations, tales meant to inspire fear or admiration. Alara knew better. Humans were capable of far more than anyone expected. As the discussions began, subtle tensions filled the room. Small gestures, careful word choices, and even the timing of movement carried weight. The humans listened, observed, and learned. Every species had its habits, its rules, and its weaknesses. And humans were experts at noticing patterns that others missed. Hours passed with polite conversation, yet beneath the surface, a silent test unfolded. Alien delegates probed for weaknesses, attempting to manipulate human responses. They underestimated how far humans had come, how adaptable they were, and how deeply patience could run. Humans did not just react. They anticipated, prepared, and adjusted. Captain Alara observed all of this from the ship, analyzing reports and messages from her diplomats. She knew the galaxy believed humans were limited by biology, lifespan, and even emotion. But they misunderstood the essence of humanity. Humans had learned to turn limitations into strength. When cornered, they did not panic, they planned. When mocked, they did not rage, they calculated. And when patience ran out, they acted in ways that no species could predict. In one corner of the hall, a group of smaller alien species whispered among themselves. They had heard stories of human colonies surviving attacks, of humans escaping situations that should have been impossible. To them, humans were an anomaly. They seemed ordinary, but their persistence, courage, and creativity were unlike anything else in the galaxy. Captain, Mara's voice came again over the comm. There's unusual activity in the northern sector. Our sensors detect a fleet approaching, but it's unclear who they belong to. Alara's eyes narrowed. Prepare a visual feed. Let's see what trouble the galaxy has sent our way today. On the view screen, ships of unfamiliar design appeared, moving swiftly but without aggression. They did not break formation, but their presence alone was enough to raise eyebrows. Humans had faced countless threats, from rogue pirates to massive alien armies, yet the tension on the bridge was tangible. Every officer knew that patience had limits, even in diplomacy. Alara clenched her fists lightly. Whatever their intentions, let them underestimate us. That is always our advantage. They see ordinary humans, but they will soon learn that patience has its price. As the day continued, minor incidents began to unfold. Trade negotiations stalled, technical systems malfunctioned under suspicious circumstances, and hidden messages hinted at secret alliances forming against human interests. Most species assumed humans would falter or retreat. They did not realize humans had prepared for this, had already predicted scenarios that others couldn't even imagine. Meanwhile, on the planet's surface, human engineers worked alongside alien technicians. They repaired damaged systems, restored communications, and adapted technology from multiple species into unified solutions. Where others saw obstacles, humans saw opportunity. Where others panicked, humans remained calm. Their patience was being tested, but so far no one had crossed the line. Yet, a subtle tension built among the humans themselves. They knew that patience was a finite resource. For decades, humans had endured insults, betrayals, and countless attempts to undermine them. They had learned to wait, to listen, and to respond with precision. But deep down, every human knew there was a moment when patience ended. And when that moment came, the galaxy would witness a force it had never truly understood. Captain Alara walked the corridors of the ship, her thoughts focused and sharp. She paused to observe her crew, each member performing their duties with unwavering dedication. These were the humans who would rise to any challenge, who would survive impossible odds, and who would act decisively when the time came. Back in the diplomatic hall, Ambassador Kaito concluded a session with a calm statement. "We are here to negotiate peace and cooperation," he said, his tone polite yet firm. "But let it be understood, humans are not fragile. Underestimate us at your own risk." The aliens reacted with polite nods, but some eyes betrayed surprise. There was a subtle shift in the air. The galaxy had always assumed that humans would bend, retreat, or compromise under pressure. Few realized that humans could endure far beyond what was expected, and that when their patience ran out, the consequences could be extraordinary. As night fell on the planet, Alara returned to the bridge. Stars stretched endlessly in every direction, silent witnesses to the events unfolding below. She allowed herself a small smile. The humans were underestimated, as always, but that was the way it should be. The galaxy had no idea what was coming. For now, there was calm. For now, humans observed, listened, and planned. But in the quiet, a warning echoed through the stars: patience has limits. And when humans finally reach that limit, no species, no matter how powerful, can handle the trouble that follows. Alara's eyes lingered on the distant stars. Somewhere among them, challenges waited. And humanity was ready, always ready. The calm before the storm had ended. The galaxy had not noticed yet, but it would soon. The neutral planet's sky was alive with movement. Alien ships hovered above, their strange designs twisting against the light of distant suns. Captain Alara Voss watched the readouts on the bridge of the Horizon Vanguard, her expression calm but alert. Humans had entered a test, though no one had announced it. The galaxy had a habit of testing humans, assuming they were easy to push, easy to break. The aliens had no idea how far human patience could stretch. Lieutenant Mara Chen tapped a series of commands, highlighting anomalies in the nearby sectors. "Captain, there are unusual fluctuations in the communications network. Someone is trying to intercept or disrupt our signals." Alara nodded. "Show me." On the view screen, encrypted signals pulsed in irregular bursts. Whoever was behind it thought they could outsmart humans with technical tricks and subtle interference. They were wrong. Humans had always thrived where rules and logic seemed impossible to bend. "Track the origin," Alara commanded. I want to know who is pushing this, and I want to know now. The system responded quickly. The source of the interference was traced to a small fleet, hidden in a nearby asteroid belt. Their craft were fast, sleek, and designed for covert operations. They had assumed humans would panic, overreact, or retreat. Again, they underestimated the species they thought was fragile. Prepare a countermeasure, Alara said, her mind already running through possibilities. I don't want to destroy them yet. Let's see how clever they really are. Mara raised an eyebrow. You want to play with them? Alara smiled faintly. Not play, learn. Humans always learn when they are tested, and sometimes learning is the most dangerous weapon of all. Meanwhile, on the planet's surface, Ambassador Ryan Kaito met with alien diplomats. The room was filled with tension. Subtle threats were being whispered under polite voices, offers of cooperation were carefully laced with manipulation, and humans were the subject of constant evaluation. Kaito listened, nodding politely, yet his mind moved faster than anyone else. He could see the patterns forming, the secret alliances, the hidden ambitions, the impatience of the aliens themselves. He knew that humans were being tested. Every insult, every delay, every attempt to corner them was part of a larger experiment. And humans, as always, had a way of turning tests into triumphs. Back on the Horizon Vanguard, the crew began their response. Engineers rewired communications networks, creating subtle decoys and false signals. They traced the movements of the hidden fleet, predicting their next steps with uncanny precision. Every move was deliberate. Every decision was calculated. Humans were patient, but they were not passive. Hours passed. The hidden fleet attempted to approach the neutral planet, expecting the humans to falter. But instead, they found themselves navigating a labyrinth of misinformation, delays, and precise countermeasures. Ships that seemed invisible suddenly appeared in their path, forcing them to retreat or risk collision. The aliens were clever, but humans were cleverer. Captain Alara walked along the bridge, observing her crew. See, she said quietly to Mara, patience is a human virtue, but cleverness is our weapon. They think patience makes us slow. They do not see how quickly we can act when the time is right. Mara nodded. It's almost beautiful watching it unfold. Alara smiled. It's more than beautiful. It's survival. And it's a reminder to the galaxy that humans are not fragile. They are adaptable, determined, and relentless when pushed. On the surface, Kaito concluded the diplomatic session with a controlled tone. We are here to build peace, he said, but peace is meaningless if it is built on lies and manipulation. Humans endure. We are patient, but we do not allow deceit to define us. The alien delegates shifted uncomfortably. Some had expected submission, or at least hesitation. Instead, they found calm, confidence, and an unshakable resolve. Humans were not just surviving, they were dominating the situation without overt aggression. As night fell, subtle attacks continued. Small sabotage attempts on supply lines, technical disruptions, and misinformation campaigns tested human limits. Every time, humans adapted. Engineers rewired systems faster than anyone anticipated. Pilots navigated treacherous asteroid fields with unexpected routes. Diplomats outmaneuvered verbal traps with grace and precision. Some alien observers began to whisper among themselves. Humans were strange. They seemed ordinary, yet nothing they tried could truly corner them. Humans thought ahead, anticipated risk, and often turned disadvantage into opportunity. Captain, Mara said after a tense silence, the fleet in the asteroid belt is withdrawing. It seems they weren't ready for this level of response. Alara's eyes gleamed. Of course they were. The galaxy always underestimates humans. That is our advantage. They test us because they think patience will break us. But patience is only one side of the coin. The other side is action, and action is what they will soon face if they push too far. Even the humans themselves felt the subtle thrill of being tested. Engineers, pilots, and diplomats shared quiet glances, a mutual understanding that they were stronger together than anyone imagined. Every human instinct had been honed through centuries of survival, exploration, and challenge. The galaxy thought they could bend humans. The humans were ready to bend the rules instead. In a small corner of the bridge, a young communications officer whispered to his colleague, "Do you think they understand? Do you think the aliens realize what they are dealing with?" The colleague shook her head. "No, that's the thing. They think humans are fragile. They think we will snap or back down. They don't know patience has limits, and we never snap in the way they expect." Alara overheard the whisper and nodded approvingly. She loved that quiet awareness among her crew. Humans had learned to endure, to observe, and to calculate. Their patience allowed them to see weaknesses others missed, and their response, when the time came, would be decisive. Suddenly, the sensors picked up a new movement. A fleet, larger and more organized than the previous one, was approaching the planet. Their speed was faster, their coordination tighter. Someone had decided to escalate the test. "Prepare the fleet for observation," Alara commanded. "We are not attacking yet. We are learning. Observe, adapt, and anticipate." The alien fleet assumed humans would panic under pressure. Instead, humans moved with confidence. Ships repositioned, sensors analyzed, and pilots calculated multiple outcomes simultaneously. Every human aboard the Horizon Vanguard and the allied human fleets knew one unspoken truth: the galaxy had pushed too far. And yet they waited. Patience was still holding, but the edges were fraying. Humans were observing, but they were also preparing. If diplomacy failed, if provocations continued, humans would respond with a force no species could predict. That moment had not arrived, yet. On the planet's surface, Ambassador Kaito observed the approaching fleet through reinforced windows. "They are escalating," he said. "They think humans will yield." "No," one of his aides replied quietly. "Humans never yield, they adapt, they endure, they wait, but they act when the moment is right." Kaito nodded. "And when that moment comes, the galaxy will see something no one expected. Humans may be patient, but we are also unstoppable when pushed too far." Back on the Horizon Vanguard, Alara stood at the observation deck, looking at the alien ships. Stars twinkled around them, distant suns casting cold light across the metal hulls. She knew the test was far from over. Humans had survived countless challenges, faced species that were stronger, faster, and smarter in certain ways. Yet no species had ever truly understood what it meant to face human patience and resilience together. The tension on the bridge was palpable but controlled. Humans did not panic. They did not falter. They observed, learned, and prepared. The galaxy assumed humans were fragile, limited, and slow to act, and that assumption would be the galaxy's greatest mistake. Night deepened over the neutral planet. The alien fleets maintained positions, probing, testing, watching. Humans remained calm. Engineers worked quietly, diplomats negotiated subtly, and pilots prepared for contingencies. Captain Alara finally spoke, her voice calm but firm. "Remember this," she said to her crew. "They think they are testing us, but every test is a lesson, every provocation is an opportunity. Patience is a human strength, but it is not infinite, and when it ends, no species will be ready for what comes next." A quiet murmur of agreement passed through the bridge. Humans were not just surviving, they were mastering the test, and the galaxy, as always, underestimated them. For now, patience held. But in the hearts of humans, the fire of action burned quietly, ready for the moment the galaxy pushed too far. That moment was approaching, though no one outside the human species knew it yet. And when it came, no species, no matter how clever, strong, or old, would be able to handle the storm humanity could unleash. The test of limits had begun, and humans were ready. The neutral planet had never seen such tension. Alien fleets circled above like predators testing their prey, but the humans below did not panic. Captain Alara Voss stood on the observation deck of the Horizon Vanguard, her eyes scanning the approaching ships. They were fast, organized, and intent on intimidation, but humans were ready. Humans had patience, yes, but they also had limits. Lieutenant Mara Chen approached the captain. "Captain, the aliens' signals are growing more aggressive. They are sending messages meant to provoke us. They are trying to see how far our patience goes." Alara's lips curved into a small smile. "Let them test us. They always assume humans are weak. They think patience will make us easy to control. They don't realize that patience is only a part of our strength. When it runs out, the consequences are unforgettable." The Horizon Vanguard hummed with quiet activity. Engineers adjusted shields, recalibrated weapons, and strengthened communications. Pilots ran simulations, planning strategies for every possible outcome. Diplomats studied the alien behaviors, decoding patterns in speech, gestures, and timing. Humans were not reactive, they were always 2 steps ahead. On the planet's surface, Ambassador Ryan Kaito met once again with the alien delegates. The meeting was tense, polite on the surface, but beneath the words flowed a river of silent threats and hidden intentions. Some of the aliens tried to intimidate, others tried to trick, but humans were not easily fooled. Kaito spoke calmly, choosing his words carefully. "Humans do not bend under pressure," he said, his voice steady. "We are patient, but patience is not weakness. If provoked too far, we respond with strength and precision. That is who we are." Some of the alien delegates scoffed quietly, assuming he was bluffing. They had made a critical mistake. Humans were not bluffing. Humans did not just survive, they acted decisively when the time came. Meanwhile, in orbit, the hidden fleets attempted to maneuver closer, testing human responses. Sensors tracked every movement, and human pilots responded with uncanny timing. Ships shifted formation, creating false trails and decoys, making the alien observers believe the humans were scattered or confused. In reality, every maneuver was deliberate. Every action was part of a larger plan. Captain Alara walked across the bridge, observing her crew with quiet pride. "They think humans panic under pressure. They think we overreact, but they don't see how we turn pressure into advantage. They are about to find out." Hours passed with small skirmishes in space. No real damage occurred yet, but the aliens were growing frustrated. Every attack they attempted failed, every trick they tried was countered. Human ingenuity was unmatched. Ships moved with unexpected strategies, engineers repaired or adapted technology instantly, and pilots navigated impossible routes. Humans were clever, patient, and relentless. On the planet, the alien diplomats grew uneasy. Some whispered among themselves. "These humans, they are different. They do not break, they do not yield, and they do not react as we expected." Kaito listened carefully, noting the shift. "They are learning," he said quietly to his aide. "They believe humans will yield if we push enough." But humans endure far longer than any other species. And when endurance runs out, the galaxy will see consequences it cannot handle. As the day turned to night, provocations increased. Supply lines were sabotaged, communications disrupted, and spies attempted to infiltrate human outposts. Yet every move was met with calm precision. Engineers rerouted systems, diplomats countered with intelligence, and pilots intercepted intruders before they could act. The aliens' patience was fraying too. They assumed humans would tire first. They assumed humans would make mistakes. But humans had patience built into their core, honed through centuries of challenges. And humans had another strength: foresight. They anticipated moves that others had not even considered. In orbit, Captain Alara gave an order. "We will not attack yet. Let them believe they are in control. Let them think we are still measured. Observe, learn, and prepare. When the time comes, we will act decisively." Even among the younger crew members, there was a quiet thrill. They felt the power of human patience and intelligence combined. They knew that the galaxy underestimated them, and that was their advantage. Meanwhile, on the planet, Ambassador Kaito received a direct message from one of the alien warlords. The tone was mocking, meant to provoke anger. "Your patience is admirable, human, but every river breaks its banks eventually." Kaito's fingers hovered over the console, but he did not immediately respond. Humans had learned that responding too soon could reveal weakness. Instead, he sent a calm message back. "Patience is a human virtue, but patience does not last forever. When it ends, consequences are beyond expectation." The aliens paused. For the first time, they sensed that humans were not as predictable as they had thought. Every act of provocation had been met with calm strategy, and every attempt at manipulation had been anticipated. Humans were no longer just enduring, they were preparing. On the Horizon Vanguard, Captain Alara reviewed the fleet's readiness. Every ship, every system, every pilot was prepared for the moment when patience would no longer be enough. Humans had endured insults, attacks, and hidden sabotage. They had waited, observed, and adapted. Now the edge of patience was near. Mara Chen approached her captain again. "Captain, we've calculated multiple scenarios. If the aliens escalate further, we can respond with force, but in a controlled and precise way. No unnecessary risk, just impact." Alara nodded. "Exactly. They need to understand that patience has limits. They believe we are fragile. They are about to learn we are anything but." Meanwhile, civilians on the planet's surface were also preparing. Humans had taught themselves to adapt to every challenge. Engineers, doctors, and even ordinary citizens had contingency plans. They had trained for emergencies, studied alien technology, and learned to work together under pressure. When humans worked as one, they were unstoppable. A subtle tension built across the alien delegations. They could see it, though they did not fully understand it. Humans were calm, yes, but that calm was not weakness, it was focus. It was strategy. And lurking beneath that calm was the knowledge that action could come at any moment. In orbit, the alien fleets hesitated. Their attacks had failed. Their tricks had been countered. They began to sense the strength they had ignored for centuries. Humans were not easily cornered. Humans did not panic. Humans endured, and when endurance ran out, they acted in ways that no one could predict. Captain Alara's voice broke the silence of the bridge. "Prepare for potential engagement," she said. "We are still patient, but patience is not infinite. The galaxy has assumed humans are slow to anger. It is time they realize humans do not get angry, we get results." Pilots adjusted their positions, ready for orders. Engineers monitored every system. Diplomats continued to negotiate, maintaining the illusion of normalcy. Humans were preparing for a storm, and the aliens did not know it yet. On the planet's surface, Ambassador Kaito met again with the alien delegates. "We have endured much," he said calmly, "but humans are not limitless in patience. Tests have consequences, provocations are noticed, actions are remembered, and when patience ends, outcomes are decisive." The room fell silent. Some of the aliens had never encountered a species like humans. They had thought humans fragile. They had thought humans could be pushed, broken, or controlled. They had been wrong. As night deepened, the humans continued to observe, prepare, and learn. Every move of the alien fleets, every word of the delegates, every subtle attempt to provoke or manipulate was recorded and analyzed. Humans were ready for the moment when patience would end. That moment was approaching. Captain Alara stood alone on the observation deck, looking at the stars stretching endlessly around the planet. She thought of human history, the wars fought, the hardships endured, the challenges overcome. Humanity had survived everything the galaxy had thrown at them. And now patience was reaching its limit. The message to the galaxy was clear, even if no one outside the human species understood it yet. Humans could endure, adapt, and survive. But humans also knew when to act, and when they did, no species could handle the force of their response. Alara's eyes narrowed. Somewhere among the alien fleets, the test would soon reach its peak. Patience had lasted as long as it could. Humans were ready. The calm, measured endurance that had defined human interactions for centuries was about to change. The galaxy, which had underestimated humans for generations, was about to learn a lesson it would never forget. And when that moment came, no species would be prepared for the consequences of pushing humans too far. For now, humans waited. They observed. They learned. And they prepared for the time when patience could no longer contain their power. That time was coming, closer with every passing hour. The test of limits had intensified, and humans were ready to act. The tension that had hovered over the neutral planet for weeks finally snapped. Alien fleets, confident in their ability to intimidate humans, had pushed too far. Captain Alara Voss stood on the bridge of the Horizon Vanguard, her eyes fixed on the approaching ships. Patience had reached its limit. Humans had endured every test, every provocation, every subtle manipulation, and now it was time to act. "All units prepare for engagement," Alara commanded. Her voice was calm but carried the authority of someone who knew exactly what was coming. "This is not reckless anger. This is strategy. Execute with precision and remember, observe before every move." Lieutenant Mara Chen's fingers flew across the controls, sending orders to human fleets in orbit and beyond. Every pilot, every engineer, every officer was ready. Humans had trained for decades for situations like this, but they had never been underestimated as completely as they were today. That underestimation would be their greatest advantage. Below, on the planet's surface, Ambassador Ryan Kaito coordinated with human ground forces. Engineers and citizens alike had prepared defenses, set up communication networks, and devised contingency plans. They had learned alien behavior from the past weeks, predicting moves, noticing patterns, and preparing counters. "This is it," Kaito said to his aides. "Patience is over. They've pushed us too far. We will show them the cost of misjudging humans." Above the planet, the first human moves were subtle. Small ships darted through asteroid fields, creating false trails. Sensors and scanners emitted pulses that gave the aliens the illusion of confusion. But this was only a part of the plan. Humans were not acting recklessly. They were baiting their opponents, luring them into positions that would soon become traps. The aliens had assumed humans would act with panic, or fear, or anger. They did not understand that human patience was a strategic weapon. Every move humans made was calculated to create maximum effect with minimal risk. Suddenly, the alien fleet shifted its formation, clearly reacting to the false trails. Captain Alara's eyes gleamed. "Now," she whispered. Human ships moved in unison, using unexpected paths and tactics that no alien species had ever predicted. Fleets that had seemed isolated now formed coordinated strikes. Communications, engineering, and pilot teams worked in perfect synchrony. Humans were proving once again that intelligence and creativity could surpass brute strength. On the planet, Kaido oversaw ground maneuvers. Humans had prepared for sabotage and infiltration, but they now moved to secure key locations. Supply lines were reinforced, communication hubs fortified, and civilians trained to assist in emergencies. Humans had turned ordinary resources into extraordinary advantages. They had adapted alien technology, learned from alien strategies, and developed countermeasures that others could not foresee. In the alien ranks, confusion began to spread. Ships collided with debris or each other, miscalculations turned into setbacks, and what had seemed like control dissolved into disorder. Alien commanders could not understand why their best strategies failed. They had underestimated humans, and now that mistake was unraveling their plans. "Captain," Mara said, excitement in her voice, "they're trying to regroup, but our positions are stronger than they realize. Every maneuver we made has given us the upper hand." Alara nodded. "Humans endure, but humans also strike with precision. They pushed us too far. Now they will see what happens when patience runs out." In orbit, human engineers activated specialized systems designed to disable enemy navigation and weapons temporarily. Alien ships found their controls lagging, systems misfiring, and sensors producing false readings. Each disruption was deliberate, calculated, and devastating in its effect. The aliens had thought they could manipulate humans, but humans had turned their own tactics against them. On the planet's surface, Kaido coordinated with ambassador teams stationed at strategic points. Humans were moving with confidence, reclaiming control of areas that aliens had hoped to destabilize. Citizens and soldiers alike worked in perfect coordination, demonstrating resilience, creativity, and courage. One alien warlord attempted a direct attack, sending a small fleet to strike human positions, but humans anticipated this. Pilots intercepted the attackers, using maneuvers that seemed impossible in real-time calculations. Every move was unexpected, every outcome controlled. What had seemed chaos was actually human strategy in full display. Captain Alara's voice resonated through the bridge. "All units maintain precision. Avoid unnecessary conflict, but do not let them recover. Show them our strength through strategy and intelligence, not mindless aggression." Hours passed as humans executed flawless maneuvers across space and the planet. Alien fleets found themselves trapped in a web of strategies they could not predict. Communications were intercepted, supply lines disrupted, and their own minor mistakes amplified by human tactics. Humans had taken the test, turned it on its head, and now controlled the battlefield without acting recklessly. On the planet, Kaido observed alien diplomats retreating from tense negotiations. Their faces showed disbelief, confusion, and a dawning realization. Humans were not what they had assumed. They were adaptable, clever, patient, and relentless. Every provocation had been met with careful calculation, and now humans were showing the result of centuries of endurance. Captain Alara walked along the bridge, watching her crew. "This is what I wanted them to see," she said. "Humans are patient but not infinite. We endure, we adapt, and we act with intelligence when the time comes. They underestimated us. That is their mistake." Mara Chen smiled. "They'll remember this for a long time." "Yes," Alara replied, "because when humans act after patience ends, it is not random. It is precise. It is unstoppable, and the galaxy never expects it." As night stretched across the planet, human ships solidified their positions. Every system was optimized, every crew member focused. Aliens attempted to regain control, but every maneuver was countered. Humans had anticipated the escalation, and they were now demonstrating the full measure of their resilience and creativity. The alien fleets were shaken. They had assumed humans would falter, would panic, or would retreat. Instead, humans had turned every challenge into opportunity. Every provocation had been anticipated, every attack countered, every deception revealed. Humans were not only surviving, they were mastering the situation completely. On the planet, Kaito sent a final message to the alien delegates. Humans are patient, but patience is finite. You have tested us beyond reason. Now you see the result. We endure, we adapt, and we act when necessary. The galaxy has underestimated humans for centuries. That mistake ends today. The alien leaders stared at the message, realizing the truth they had ignored. Humans were not fragile. Humans were not predictable. Humans were patient, and when that patience ended, no species could withstand the consequences. Captain Alara stood at the observation deck, looking out at the stars. The galaxy had tested humans, and humans had passed, but not in the way anyone expected. Humans had shown that intelligence, strategy, and endurance were more powerful than fear or brute force. The lesson was clear. Patience may allow humans to endure, but action after patience ends was unstoppable. She turned to Mara. We've made our point. Now the galaxy will see that humans cannot be underestimated. Our patience allowed them to believe they were in control. Now they understand humans are something else entirely. Mara nodded. They'll remember this. They'll never forget it. Alara allowed herself a small, proud smile. And that's the way it should be. The galaxy must learn that humans endure, adapt, and strike with precision when tested beyond their limits. They will never make the same mistake again. On the planet, civilians and soldiers alike celebrated quietly. They had survived the provocation, outsmarted the intruders, and demonstrated that humans were not fragile. Humanity had proven once again that patience was only one part of their strength. Adaptability, intelligence, and determination completed the rest. The neutral planet was calm now, but the lesson was clear. Humans had passed the test, and in doing so had redefined how the galaxy would see them. Patience had been their weapon, endurance had been their shield, and action, precise, intelligent, unstoppable, was now their declaration. Captain Alara turned back to the stars. Somewhere out there, others would test humans again. But now everyone would know, humans endure, humans adapt, and when patience ends, no species can handle the consequences. The turning point had arrived. The galaxy would never underestimate humans again.